So what we've traded affection for is attention. And I'm saying we are so desperate for it. We are so desperate for it. We're like a 2-year-old child that is in desperate need of attention. Well, we really need affection. But what we've substituted for is because we haven't got that affection possibly our whole lives. Can you imagine that? You see, this is what's different in the time of history that we live in, I think, is that on a large scale there is no affection for one another as human beings. There's barely anybody who's emotionally present to give that affection. Truly. And the intensity of that affection. It is almost like you are coming from a place of such energy, of such high vibration, of such love, of such like admiration for the person, that you are giving affection to. You see them as such a special divine being, such a beautiful, sensitive soul that's also on a journey in life, a spirit in the human body, in the human being, separated from source, with a mind and an ego and trauma and everything else. And you see the suffering, you see the isolation of the other, and you put your arms around them, and you encompass you recognize their entire and whole existence. And you love them to their very, very core. And you hold them dearly, and you're there for them. And when you talk, you are present, and you do not judge, you listen. I mean, I could speak for hours on being present and how for me, feel I give affection. My issue is that I don't really receive affection. And that's what makes me miserable. That's what makes me depressed, is that I don't get enough affection. And the moments that I do get affection, for those few hours afterwards, I'm over the moon by it. It changes my whole frequency. It changes my whole mood. It changes my outlook on life in a way. I feel more motivated. I feel more light. I feel more hopeful. I feel more grateful. I feel more appreciative. It's pretty early Tuesday morning. I'm just not yet ready to start my day by sorting out the kitchen and, the usual, the usual rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat lifestyle of things. So I thought I would do a recording and share my thoughts and feelings on what I think is the number one reason and cause for I would say, pain and suffering and loneliness and mental illness, and depression and anxiety and all of those things. I think all of that comes from separation. I think as human beings, not just, there are many species that cannot survive without affection, rely heavily on affection. I mean, primates, monkeys, it's all about affection, I mean, it's all about grooming. I've seen monkeys, it's a strange thing because they will really play and help each other, especially the younger monkeys, if they can't jump across the building or climb up the wall, and they really help each other out. And grooming is a massive part, and obviously there's a whole hierarchy at play. And I saw a very injured monkey the other day. It was very sad to see. It had like a big gash on its arm. Obviously got into a fight with another monkey. And it was sitting in the corner and feeling sorry for itself, feeling down. And they have feelings. Monkeys have feelings. Dogs have feelings. Cats have feelings. Birds have feelings. Even fish. And I'll tell you why I say fish. because I remember it was, I don't know how to, it's too much to get into, but I inherited some fish, and the tank that I got them in was too small, and the bigger fish was killing all the other ones. So after some time, I figured this out. I knew nothing about fishes. I was put into the deep end, excuse the pun, in a way. And I took the one fish out and put into another sort of tank. It wasn't really a tank. And after about 20 minutes or so, I came back and found that fish that I put in the separate tank lying on the, well, I heard this bang, and the fish was lying on the floor. And then I read up on it, and it says that a lot of fish are not designed to be by themselves. This particular type of species, is it a species of fish? I don't know. And will do whatever it has to in order to find, to be with other fish. And it's true, you put one fish in a bowl and it's really miserable and not very active. You put two fish in a bowl and it's a whole nother story. I've seen it, and it's obvious. There's no question about it. Look, they obviously will fight. Monkeys will, fight till the death. They, especially over food, and especially over resources, and especially over territory. Yeah, of course, they fight like hell, and they kill each other over it. As well as fish do, and they eat each other and everything else. But primarily, even fish need company. Snakes and reptiles, on the other hand, just seem to be of a different kind of cold-blooded, I think it is. That just seems to be indifferent to company. A mother snake doesn't raise her children or doesn't hang around, type of thing. And so horses, elephants, you've heard of the elephants that die of a broken heart when their partner passes away. Yeah, no matter how tough the animal kingdom may appear, it also has its vulnerabilities, and also susceptible to being alone, not feeling part of the tribe, part of the club, part of the herd, part of the the collective noun, or whatever it is for one, whichever species it might be. And I've seen it. You see it in differences in animals, that dogs that have been neglected by their owners, and how the dog loses its mind. I remember a family member of mine had a dog that they didn't care for it, and they kept it in the back of the house in a small little courtyard, and the dog had lost its mind. Would jump all over the show, run around, like you could see it just wasn't, it wasn't okay. And a child, an infant that is ignored within the first month of its development, just sort of maybe fed mechanically or something like that, will have long life problems. Although the conscience, what does the baby, the infant remember at 1 month old, 2 months old, 3 months old? But the biology, there's something deep inside us, that needs that touch. That needs the touch. Oxytocin is a chemical released, and when we receive and we give affection, and it's a very healing chemical, and it's a very feel-good chemical, and it's very, very important. I think I feel oxytocin when I walk barefoot on the sand, on the grass, when I'm out in nature, and I feel that connectedness, and I feel the ground beneath my feet, and the different temperature, relationship to nature. A friend from the channels made a comment that he said that the earth is always there for you, and I really like that. The earth is really there for you, because the earth, it doesn't have moods. There's nature, there's weather, but we're not talking about that. The earth is always there for you. It's never too busy. It's never having a bad day, and it's always there for us. And I never thought about that, The stars are always there for us, the sun, the moon, the wind. And it's unpleasant. I mean, wind is unpleasant, cold is unpleasant, but relationship to it, that we are in relationship to something. The warmth of the sun on a cold winter's day, or the heat as well, which is miserable. But we're all in relationship to nature, and we often disconnect ourselves from nature, and that also causes massive, massive problems. We are in more relationship to screens and technology in an artificial world, and no wonder we are so, unwell, mentally unwell. That's why I also don't think that most people have a chance at healing and well-being. I don't think so. The odds are now not in one's favor. I see it in my family members. I see it that they don't stand a chance of being able to become stable. They don't know how, they don't know what's missing, they don't know what to do, they have no idea. They don't know who they are, they don't know how they feel about themselves, they're not even conscious, then they're not. And they lack affection, and this is the problem. I was speaking to my mother yesterday, and we're going through everybody we know, and I'm talking about like back in time, back in our history of family, friends, of community people that we knew pretty well. And we're saying, out of everybody, who can we confidently say knows how to give affection, like real affection? And we couldn't think of anybody. The only person I could think of that it gives outright affection is my mother. That's it. Outright affection. And affection is not just a mother sort of patting a child to sleep, holding a child and patting it to sleep or something like that. That is a part of affection. But that mother could be on her cell phone while she's doing it. That mother in herself could be so very stressed of what's going on in her own life that she is not really emotionally present. She's physically present. And so when we're emotionally unavailable and not present, we talk about mindfulness, we talk about being in the now and how powerful it is and how that's all there is. But we don't actually talk about it being emotionally present. Like, are you even present of your emotions? But again, when they do talk about emotions, it's more like about these things that come and go. They're pretty random in a sense. They don't really have much significance or meaning. All you just really want is peace of mind. All you just want is stillness. All you just want is the present moment, which you cannot have if you're not emotionally present, if you're not emotionally aware of you don't have an emotional relationship with yourself. You're not aware of your feelings, and you're not even sure why you're feeling what you're feeling. You just don't know. I mean, I remember just like, speaking to, let's just say, my brother the other day, and he's like, I don't know why I'm so tired. Like, I'm like mentally, physically, emotionally exhausted, but I don't know why, because I had a good night's sleep last night. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, are you serious? Let's just look at the last week of what your whole lot of last week has contained, and what you have to go through, and the stresses and everything else, and how, you got one good night's sleep, and now you all of a sudden, you think that that's okay. You have actually no concept of what's going on within your day, within your life, on a mental, physical, emotional level. You just have no clue what's going on, because again, stress and anxiety and overwhelmment and burnout has just become the norm now. It's just normal, so there's nothing odd about it. So I'm just having a normal experience like everybody else. So no, you're not. People think that their anxiety is the same as, like, anxiety in general is anxiety. It's like air, or like bread is bread. It's not the same. For anxiety is for different people. There's different types of anxiety. There's different feelings to anxiety. There's just, to depression as well, but we just label it one type. We just label it depression or anxiety. Yeah, and it's ridiculous because it's like, also we use one word for love, which is ridiculous. We're like in some cultures, they have like 17 words for love. So we're out of touch and we're not aware of it. And then when we are feeling anxious and are feeling overwhelmed, then we think, well, there's something wrong with us. I felt that way for such a long time. I felt like insecure about the fact that I just couldn't get on an airplane and travel for like 21 hours. Again, like my father will come back from Australia. He'll leave like on Monday night, and he'll be at the airport at 4 o'clock in the morning. So he didn't sleep that night, and his flight is at 4. So he has to be at the airport like at say 1 o'clock in the morning. Maybe he dozed off a little bit and then got up at 12 and whatever it was, made his way to the airport, sat there for like 3 hours before boarding the plane, then flew like 7 hours to another country or city or something like that, sat in transit for 5-6 hours, just waiting around, then caught another plane, which is about another, say, 14 hours, and then arrives like 2 days later, at where he lives, at his home, which he arrives at like, say, 5 in the morning, right? And then he has a shower, he has something to eat, hangs around a bit, and then he goes to work. And that's just how it goes. Now for me, I can't do even a quarter of that. I can't wake up in the morning, maybe some of you can because you've adjusted to it. I just doubt it though. And sit in traffic for 45 minutes before I get to the office, right? And then I sit and I'm completely absorbed in the work that I'm supposed to be doing. I just cannot do it. No matter what, I just cannot. I tried my darndest, but I just couldn't do it. It was just impossible. Because that's not, I'm not that way, and I felt so guilty and ashamed for not being that way. Again, like my best friend said to me when I was having a bit of a breakdown when I was in my early 20s or mid 20s, and I said, I don't know what to do with my life. I can't study. I tried 3 degrees. I flunked them all, a different subject, and I don't know what to do. He called down a job, and he said to me, "You're such a lazy bum. I don't ask me to feel sorry for you." He was just so uncaring and saw me as so pathetic and weak, and I can't forget that conversation that I had with him. It was brutal. So what we've traded affection for is attention. And I'm saying we are so desperate for it. We are so desperate for it. We're like a 2-year-old child that is in desperate need of attention. Well, we really need affection. But what we've substituted for is because we haven't got that affection possibly our whole lives. Can you imagine that? You see, this is what's different in the time of history that we live in, I think, is that on a large scale there is no affection for one another as human beings. There's barely anybody who's emotionally present to give that affection. Truly. And the intensity of that affection. It is almost like you are coming from a place of such energy, of such high vibration, of such love, of such like admiration for the person, that you are giving affection to. You see them as such a special divine being, such a beautiful, sensitive soul that's also on a journey in life, a spirit in the human body, in the human being, separated from source, with a mind and an ego and trauma and everything else. And you see the suffering, you see the isolation of the other, and you put your arms around them, and you encompass you recognize their entire and whole existence. and you love them to their very, very core, and you hold them dearly, and you're there for them, and when you talk, you are present, and you do not judge, you listen. I mean, I could speak for hours on being present and how for me, feel I give affection. My issue is that I don't really receive affection. And that's what makes me miserable. That's what makes me depressed, is that I don't get enough affection. And the moments that I do get affection, for those few hours afterwards, I'm over the moon by it. It changes my whole frequency. It changes my whole mood. It changes my outlook on life in a way. I feel more motivated. I feel more light. I feel more hopeful. I feel more grateful. I feel more appreciative. And so that's that. That's that. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Yeah. But again, what I'm saying is that what we've done is we've substituted affection for attention, which is very different. I mean, that's what's driving the world. That's what we're all doing all the time. Most of us, how the world has been conditioned. It's all about getting the attention of others. Like even now, like this video is not designed or made. That's why it's a very different kind of video on YouTube. It's not designed to entertain you. It's not designed to intrigue in the sense of like, just entertain you, to make you laugh or to engage you or to on a superficial level. That's not what my channel is about. It's something that I hope to be memorable. It's not something, again, of just shortcuts and fast editing or whatever it is, music and which I do put music in the background, which I think is important. But you know what I'm saying? There isn't any. It's just straightforward. It's old school. It's not a 30-second clip with a thumbnail of some beautiful woman with very large breasts, that says you wouldn't believe what she said to this, to this guy or something like that. It's not clickbait. It's not clickbait. And it's crazy because I've seen a video of mine, some of them will get 40 views, and then some of them will get like over 500 views, just depending on the title. And it's like, you see, I'm not really interested in that. I'm not interested in I'm interested in those who watch 70% of my videos. Doesn't matter what the title may be. They'll click on it either way. Because we have a relationship. We have an understanding. And we're looking for company. We're looking for somebody else to share, to perhaps be going through a similar experience, that you don't feel alone, that you can connect with somebody, So that's what, my channel is about, and what I try to be about, and cut through all that other stuff that is all about attention seeking. Yeah. And of course I want approval. I don't say if I want to be approved of, but I want to be recognized. I want to be recognized. And a lot of the time I want to be recognized for my pain. I come and I share my grievances on YouTube, and I have a lot of them, because I'm very dissatisfied with the world, and I'm very hurt, and I'm very alone. and scared. Often of the time scared, bored, frustrated to nth degrees, being thrown into the deep end. Yeah. I know I can envision a better setup for myself. You know, I know what I don't have, and I know that if I had what I believe I need, which is again is company in nature, is a company of others, support, and being in nature, and my whole life would be radically different. My whole existence would be radically different. But for some reason or other, this is the cards that I have been dealt, and this is what I work with. So we talk about affection. For myself, one of the things I struggle with as well is affection from the divine, from God. Because a lot of the time it just doesn't feel that God is there. I'm just being honest, and this is what I do say in my moments of prayer. And I just feel like, throw me a frickin' bone here. All I'm asking for is sharks with laser beams attached to their foreheads. For those who watch Austin Powers. And yet, you just don't get what you essentially feel that you need. Not just what you want, but what you actually need. What you need. And it's, well, son, this is for your own good. And you got to lump, you got to have it. You got to go through it, no matter how absurd it is. What you're having to experience and how ungodly it is. And you think to yourself, gee whiz, And how many of us replicate our relationship that we had with our parents on the relationship with God, or the divine, or source, or higher power, or Brahman, or something or other. Yeah. Do we even believe that we can feel the affection of God? Do we even feel that we deserve, we can handle the affection if we are so lucky to get it from others? Because I do get affection, don't get me wrong, I do get, and then again, I'm very skeptical of people saying, wonderful things to me or comments to me, and I kind of feel embarrassed and shame to be like, just don't go out of your way for me, don't worry about me, please, it makes me uncomfortable in a way. I'd rather just really be there for you than you there for me, which is not true. But when people speak to me about what I mean to them, and the person that I am, I really sort of feel very uncomfortable. Again, that's why, if I had 5,000 subscribers or viewers on my channel, on my videos, I feel very uncomfortable. So there's a lot of shame, obviously, that I carry. It's shame that we all carry. And these are things that I need to heal. I need to say, you know what? I do deserve what my worth is. I don't even get enough of it. And when I get a little bit of it, I don't even take it. Maybe because also I'm so embittered with everything else. I'm so starved of affection. But another thing is that you wouldn't know that there is affection. In a way, I think you'll just take it for granted if you had it all the time. Maybe we can do another video on the fact that we're needing to navigate this world without affection, our very life source, which is vital. No? Again, I really feel that without affection, and so what do you mean by affection? Well, again, it's a whole other talk. I think you know what I mean. Without affection, and affection to oneself, whatever that means, then you don't stand a chance. I'm saying even though you're a grown-up, you're an adult or something like that, you know. If you don't have it, you don't stand a chance. One of my brothers makes himself so unlikable, even to his own children, that he doesn't get any affection. I'm sure he couldn't even handle affection. I've been in a relationship with this woman who, she cannot slow dance with me. She's never has. It's too intimate for her. It makes her too vulnerable. Affection for her means pain because she was sexually abused as a child of 2, 3 years old, 4 years old, ongoing. So for her, affection means exploitation. There's a wires crossed. What a life, eh? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? So you believe that love is actually getting a beating. That's love is equal to pain. And and hate, you see it's the opposite way around. Yeah. So love is pain, but hate is comfort, is love. You get your wires crossed. Yeah. So awareness is key, obviously, in all of this. But how does this person make the journey back? Like, how does somebody stop an addiction without support? Like severe addiction. How do they just do it on their own? They can't. And that's what I'm saying, is that, it's all so well and proper that if we have affection and we have support, that we can really heal and grow. And really it's like absolutely vital that we have it, you know. But even if that's the case, you can't necessarily find it. You know what I mean? And that's it. Sorry. You just won't find it. You just can't find it. But you have to pray and you have to work very hard, and maybe you're not going to get the quality of affection that you want or that you need, but you're going to have to take what you get. You're just going to have to take the little bits and pieces of what you get, because it's in very, very short supply. This is what I was saying to my mother. It's like, you know, it's the shortest resource that there is in the world, is affection. We talk about like one of my brothers and the way they raise their children, and how none of them really receive affection, but yet schooling is so important, and the religion is so important, you know, and sports is so important, and all of these things are so important, but there's no time for affection. I grew up in a family where I received zero affection. Maybe for the first few years of my life, my mother, she had a very, very strong connection to me. And so I received it then, which was probably my saving grace. And then my sister came along with special needs. And that was it. But since 5 years of age, no affection. Not even being recognized, just being a thorn in my parents' side. I wouldn't even say 5 years, that's what my mom says. You know, my sister came along, or something or other, but it's bullshit. She, I think it was the first maybe year or two when I was an infant. And then when I started talking and everything else, she just couldn't. She had too much on her plate. She came from very, very hard upbringing, severe stuff. One sister committed suicide. The other two sisters that are twins, one died of alcohol, you know, dementia and all of these things, and the other sister was a drug addict for most of her life. I mean, just to give you the idea. And there was my mom, married to an indifferent, you know, like an emotionally unavailable man and everything else, and there I fell into the picture with 3 older brothers. Yeah, so I'll have this ache in me probably till the day I die, and so will you. I'm gonna start ending off. There's too much to be said. but I have to end off. But yeah, I'll have this ache in me, and so will you. Yeah. And I think we have that ache at the same time in order to try and take it away. To try and make ourselves feel fulfilled. Again, like in the personal motivational life coaching sort of sector of things, it's talking about the feeling of success and accomplishment, which is all external, try hard, and make the most of your day, and how to spare, like work wisely, and just the whole idea that you will have a sense of accomplishment, and which is possible to a certain degree, but you'll always have an ache inside of you. You will always have this deep chasm inside of you. It'll always be there for the love that you never had, for the affection that you never had. And this you will carry till the day you die. I really feel it. I mean, not to maybe the nth degree, the 10th degree, or the large degree that you feel it all the time. Like I'm saying, for myself, I used to feel it a lot more, but it's to the degree that I felt so much pain and suffering that I was an alcoholic, and I was addicted to fast foods, I was addicted to porn, I was addicted to medication of all kinds. That's not true. I just cocktailed my antidepressants and anti-anxieties, and I took more than I needed to, and all of those things. So it wasn't like of all kinds. That's an exaggeration. That's not true. I never took anything like hardcore, but I was a full-on alcoholic. Yeah. And so that's because of the ache. Not just because of that ache, but I think essentially the core, the wound, where all of it came from, and my depression and anxiety and all of those things, yes, was not having meaning in my life, not having a significant life, all of those things. But I think fundamentally what kicked it off was the ache of not having no affection. Yeah, I remember being in the city and feeling completely and absolutely and entirely isolated and alone. I remember that in my childhood, I remember. And so that's what drove me to try and self-heal or just escape reality and the pain and what we're doing all the time as human beings, what we're trying to do every single day, with our job, with our persona, with chasing money, with just chasing, being consumers, just trying to be somebody we're not. We're escaping the very chasm, the very void, the very hole within us that we were never nurtured, adored, loved, protected, supported, ongoingly, but we're just never given that. And that's what leads to people overdoing it with tattoos, really. I come across a lot of people where it just doesn't suit the guy. He's like a really nerdy guy, but his whole legs and arms are tattooed, It's like, it doesn't suit you, dude. You can see you're trying to be like a tough guy, You can just see some people, absolutely, the tattoos go, they work. But for other people, it just doesn't work. And you just see it's the having to adjust one's features and filters and you know what I'm saying. The whole appearance of things and whatever it might be, and how conscientious we are of each other's, how we're coming across and what we are wearing and all of those things. It's all to cover up that ache, all to cover up that void inside of us, that emptiness that we feel. And what is that emptiness again? That affection that we never got. And we maybe hadn't gotten our whole lives. So I think that's why some people like me as well, because I'm extremely affectionate. I'm extremely affectionate. And people feel comfortable around me, and they feel seen, and they feel heard. But some people don't want to, like my brother's not interested, my father not interested. They can't be vulnerable with me. They can't be vulnerable. It's too scary for them because they have to admit their pain. that have to admit their pain. So while we're running around making as if school is so important and all these other things, and which football team made it to the final cup, got the final round, and I don't know what Jennifer Aniston said about her marriage to Brad Pitt, if she was married, or something like that. It's just, or the new Netflix show, whatever it might be, or whatever the news report is, all of these things, all of it, is so important. While we're walking around with this chasm inside of us, this emptiness inside of us, this hole inside of us, this incredible pain and suffering that is inside of us. Because again, not everybody is supposed to have a fulfilled life and know their meaning and purpose of life, or be philosophers or Sikhs or mystics or something like that, or devotees or something or other. No, not everybody's supposed to live on that kind of level of consciousness, if you want to call it, to be poets and artists and creators of all kinds and visionaries and prophets and connected to the mystical. Most people are not designed for that, right? That's not their shtick. That's not their task. You know what I mean? They're not transcendental. They're not psychedelic. They're your average worker person. That's what they do. But they too are, need affection, and they too still suffer from the lack of affection, just like all of us. So that's what I'm saying. So people are on different journeys here, but what we all need and what we all didn't get most likely is affection. It's not likely. It's highly. When I'm talking about true, sincere, authentic affection, ongoing, not just once off, but ongoing. You see, somebody can't give affection truly if they don't give affection to themselves. So there's no one around to give affection. Like I said in the beginning of this talk, and I must end off, speaking to my mother, we went through, I don't know how many names of people about affection. How many people, and we couldn't think of one. Ongoing. We know a family, a husband and a wife that are very, very affectionate to their kids. They're very loving. They're very, but in themselves, they kiss each other all the time. They're very close family. They like got a 10-year-old daughter, 18-year-old son, and they got like 4 or 5 children. They're always kissing each other and playing with each other, and just really, when the father comes home, it's hugs and kisses and love and how was your day, and all of those things. But the father himself is not an emotionally present man at all. He sees it as important and he loves doing it, which is a good, but it's lacking. Again, it's the surface level of affection, and it's better than nothing. But we should always be improving ourselves or growing ourselves or healing ourselves, I don't want to improve them, in order so we can give the highest quality of affection. The highest quality of affection, to truly see the person, what they're going through, truly see the person for what they're suffering for, truly see what they need, or try and understand what they need, and be there for them, and do not judge them or make them feel shameful or insecure or anything like that. Very, very hard to do. And for me, that I would say is somebody who is more like worthy of being called a guru, or like a life coach, or something of that nature, a healer. That's what I would consider to be a healer. Not what you're seeing today on the main stage of New Age and personal motivation and all of that stuff, and even psychology and everything else. I think that's what the healer is about. That's what the psychologist is about. That's what the shaman is about. The psychiatrist is about. All these professions that lend themselves to healing. It's being able to literally see and feel the other person's pain and what they need to make them whole. Alright, take care.